In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean your dryer so it doesn't go up in flames. You wouldn't think your clothes dryer is a fire hazard. If you have this much dust in your dryer, the problem is in your dryer vent. 90% of the lint you see in this dryer is because my vent leading to the outside was clogged. In a gas dryer, flames come out of this area right here. And when there's this much lint in the dryer and that burner ignites, it causes a flash fire. The second thing that happens when the dryer is running for long periods of time, there is nowhere for the heat or the lint to go. Then everything gets so hot it can start your clothes on fire or the rest of the lint in the dryer.
Luckily we were home when it happened and the fire put itself out within seconds and the clothes in the dryer didn't burn. I wanted to tell you this story because the fire, the burning of lint, does not smell like a normal fire. It smells like stale cigarettes, burning cigarette filters, burnt hair. It has several smells put together in one. Our washer and dryer is next to our kitchen. When I got home, I was getting ready to feed the dogs, and I looked to my daughter and I said, "Something's burning." And we looked around trying to figure out what it was, and when we got closer to the dryer, we realized that it was the dryer. I immediately unplugged the dryer, opened the door, and see if the clothes were on fire. I also looked behind the dryer and found no flames. However, when I leaned on the dryer to look behind it, the top of the dryer was almost untouchable. It was so hot. That's why I knew underneath the mechanical parts of the dryer it started on fire. After looking the dryer over, I determined that the fire had put itself out. And I realized the top of the dryer wasn't scorching hot because of the fire.
It was hot because the vent was clogged and the heat had nowhere to go.
And as you can see in this video, looking in this area here, you can tell the dryer got very hot. In 2019, I did a video on how to repair your dryer and change an idler pulley. In that video, I showed you how to take the front of the dryer apart. So I'm going to use some clips from that. And I just wanted you to be aware of that because it's going to look a little bit different in different times.
One thing I want to stress, I looked over the entire dryer and made sure none of the wires were scorched or none of the insulation was melted off, made sure the connectors were not melted in any way, and made a decision that it was safe enough to clean and reuse the dryer. If you are not comfortable with doing this in any way, you should hire a licensed technician and let him tell you whether the dryer is worth fixing or if you should get a new one. Do It Yourself with Joe or Joe Wachowski does not assume the responsibility of making sure your dryer is safe.
The dryer I'm working on is a Westinghouse Cabrio. Make sure you unplug the dryer before you start working on it. I start by taking out the 2 screws for the lint trap. Next, I use a 5-in-1 tool or a small putty knife to release the 2 clips holding the top down. The top of the dryer is on hinges, so I pull the dryer out away from the wall just enough to hold the lid up. These are the clips I released with the 5-in-1 tool to lift the lid on the dryer. I use a 5/16 bit to remove the 2 screws that hold the front panel on. I lift the front panel off the hooks and move it to the side. One of the files I had corrupted from my camera, so I couldn't show you how I cleaned the first part of this. However, I used a vacuum to vacuum this and then switched over to a compressor. I also wiped down the bottom of the dryer with a damp cloth. Once I started using the compressor to blow the dust out, I realized it's going to be a pretty messy job, so I unhooked the dryer and took it out into the garage. When I unhooked the dryer to take it to the garage, you can start to see what some of the problems are. The fire wasn't because there was lint in the dryer, but why did the lint get there? And that was because the dryer hose was backed up.
The mistake I made when I moved into the house was not checking the dryer hose. And as you can see here, it's in pretty bad shape. Now that I've got the dryer in the garage, I'm going to remove the back panel. As you can see, after removing the back the dryer, you can see there's a lot more lint to clean out. Next, I'll take apart the lint trap. To do that, I'll remove the flange from the duct. Now go to the back of the dryer and remove the screws that hold the ductwork for the lint trap. Pull the bottom of the ductwork out first, and then let it pull through the top of the dryer. To clean this properly, we need to clean all the junk out of this. If you've ever lost anything in the dryer, this is one of the places you'll find it. Now that everything's open, I'll take the compressor and blow out the back of this dryer. Make sure you blow out all the areas of the dryer. Now I'll move to the front of the dryer and finish cleaning. Now I'll move to the top of the dryer. Now that the dryer is apart, this is where you want to be very thorough in your cleaning. Now I'll do a quick inspection to make sure everything's clean. Now I'll clean out the dryer duct before I reinstall it. Now that everything's clean, I'll start putting it all back together. To get the lint trap vent back inside, you have to lift up on the dryer a little bit and slide it into the slot. After reinstalling the ductwork, I can install the back. Here I'm just installing the screws. I don't think you need to see all that, so I'll fast forward. Here I'm reinstalling the lint vent extension. Incidentally, you may want to install this before you install the back and the vent of the dryer, because if you drop any screws, you'll want to take that back apart to take the screws out. Another thing you could do so you don't lose the screws is stick a towel in the vent opening, and then if you lose a screw, at least it won't fall down into the vent. I didn't record on how to put the front end of the dryer together. A while back I did a video on how to repair a squeaky dryer, and that video shows how to put that together. So to keep the time down on this video, I did not record it. If you'd like to see that, I'll leave a card up in the top right hand corner, or I'll leave a link in the description to that video. Here I'm just going to screw the lint trap to the lid of the dryer. Now that the dryer's done, the next thing I have to tackle is the dryer vent going to the outside. And after looking it over, I'm not even going to bother. After looking it over, this area right here going through the floor, the person who installed this crushed the vent, the dryer vent, to about 2 inches thick. So this dirt here is nothing compared to what's really inside there. So I'm going to replace the whole dryer vent from here to the outside. So that's going to be a much longer process, and I'm not going to film that part. So I got very lucky here, and all of this could have been avoided if I would have just checked this out when I bought the house. It's not something you think about doing until after something happens. And I do want to stress that the early warning sign that something's starting to go wrong or starting to back up is that your clothes are taking longer to dry. If your clothes usually dried in 60 minutes and now it's taking an extra 10 minutes to dry, and it's the same kind of loads you're doing and it's not an overload, that's telling you that something's going wrong and you need to start checking it out. If this video helps prevent at least one fire, I'll be happy. Until next time, thanks for watching.